We're gonna take a break from this match and go check in on the other match on the back table.
You're in Paris, or you're in 7? You're down to 5?
So what do we got here?
So this match will be Ben Combs against Don Smith. Don Smith, a 24-year-old law student from Jacksonville, Florida, friend of Andrew Pacifico's, didn't meet teammate Adam Chambers until Thursday, about an hour before they started the last chance qualifier. But here he is.
Well, this is a brawl between two different teams that have first-time Pro Tour players.
Yes. Camille Finet from Ludipia had never played a Pro Tour before this time either. So each team has a couple of veterans and one first-time Pro Tour player. Yeah. Now in the first game, Don Smith hoping for different fate than Camille Finet, who dropped a quick 2-0 to Adam Chambers. 10 points from the 1-1.
Don Smith's got double Kodama's Might, double Kodama's Reach, Sakura Tri-Belter. He's splashing red. His red is for Glacial Ray and Patron of the Aki.
There you get a good look at Don Smith.
His blue is double Reach Through Mists, which is powerful splice combination with both Kodama's Might and the aforementioned Glacial Ray. He's got some solid blue flying creatures. Not a single Betrayers of Kamigawa blue card in his deck. His deck is base green.
Ben Combs, the one person in this match with a Pro Tour top 8 on his resume. Yokohama, he made top 8 limited, lost to Finkel in the quarters.
Badoka Pupil. Brian David Marshall loves to talk about that match. He says it's one of the best bluffs in the history of Magic.
Really?
Yeah. Ben Combs has a Timber Watch Elf. And Finkel Ben Combs has what's the name of the guy, an elf who searches up another elf?
Wirewood Herald.
He has a Wirewood Herald. Finkel plays Spark Smith into it and then shoots the Wirewood Herald, which basically says, go ahead and get your Timber Watch Elf. I gotcha. And Finkel never draws another Goblin, and Combs loses the match with the best card in his deck sitting in his hand. Says that's such a great bluff. Becker says he's had 2 Timber Watches. I don't know if that's true, but let's see what this hand is. Is that his hand?
Yeah, Kodama's Might, Kodama's Reach.
What's his board? Because that's a great hand.
His board's pretty good.
Badoka. And how many lands does he have in play?
3.
Good gravy. I mean, first of all, we talked about how savage Traproot Kami is in this matchup, just to begin with. It's amazing.
A couple flyers to win the game with. Got a nice giant growth trick.
Something that people probably don't think of very much because it doesn't come up as often, but the Soratami land bouncing guys in combination with cards like Kodama's Reach really reverses the disadvantage of those kinds of cards. Like, you're positioning all this extra land, it really hurts a lot less to use the Soratami abilities.
Right, absolutely.
And, it's set up really well in Don Smith's deck. I mean, Trapper Kami is just so strong here. Double Kami of the Hunt.
But, I mean, Smith had Trapper Kami in the first game, and Combs managed to win it anyway.
Becker, how did that happen? You said that even
Leveled
with
up Egg Watcher.
the terrible...
Flipped an Egg Watcher. What are you going to do? You flip that guy, you win.
You flipped it against me, yes.
I did. I did that draft we did. I flipped it more times in that draft than I think in my life. I think I won 4 games with a leveled up Egg Watcher. Yeah. Don never drew Glacial Ray. 15 turns later, Combs is just like guy. It was a double mulligan for Smith, so.
So his hand is increased by 1 giant monster.
No, fine.
It's just confusing because we have one match shuffling up and dealing, and then on the other monitor we have Don Smith's hand. I keep getting confused. I think it's the same game. Actually, there's what? Four different things going on in 4 different monitors inside the booth here.
When they start, if somebody starts with
Then you go.
Now, what's on the board on Combs' side? Is that Taco Bell and?
It is Taco Bell. Oh, he's playing the 1/1 Pro Colors of Permanence you control?
That is a mighty card in a pseudo-mirror match.
Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah, I'm sure I'd go so far as to say mighty.
I bet it runs through Traproot Kami.
For 1. It's not going to do it 20 times. and you can't egg watcher it.
I find it funny that John Beckgrass doesn't do it 20 times when in the last match he was talking about how important it is to eke in each and every single point of damage.
All right, Don Smith puts a counter on the Judoka Pupil, plays Kodama's Reach.
And this is my last play.
Kudoka Pupil's awesome, and Smith's deck is full of Spirit Craft, so... Why didn't you make Spirit Craft a keyword? I think it's a great name.
I think we should have. We couldn't figure out how to template it, to be honest. Because it does different things. We knew we wanted to do the pitch spells. You know, we knew we wanted to do stuff that could trigger, and there were so many different things we wanted to do with it. We couldn't find one way to say it.
I really like the Kamigawa block a lot.
Yeah?
Yeah, I really like. I mean, actually, I was complaining to Aaron and you the other night about how much I disliked a lot of the other blocks because they're so mechanics driven.
Right.
But the mechanics in this are like sort of gentle. The overbearing mechanic is Legends, and that's just like, oh, so you have creatures that are good, but they have built-in disadvantages.
Right.
Whereas, like, in some other formats, for example, you have creatures that are good, like Arcbound Ravager.
That was definitely a conscious effort on our side.
I really
we don't want to push individual mechanics where you're like, you have to play this deck. We're trying to avoid that situation in the future. We're also trying to avoid the situation where there's just a couple of cards that are just better than everything else. We want to have everything sort of closer in power level and basically let the players figure out what they want.
That's a really great goal, I think, because I mean, just as an example, look at Blue-Green Madness, a dominant deck in Standard, even Extended, certainly in Block. And if you take the card Wild Mongrel out of the card pool, Arrogant Worm, to a lesser extent, Circular Logic, and even Wonder become next to unplayable.
Double mulligan from Pacifico on table A, so maybe Nicholas Bonnerell may be able to even that one at a game apiece. We'll see.
Let's see here. Now, Taco Bell is staring down Scaled Hulk, Trapper Commies, no one's ever getting through him.
I just hope that... It's funny. I know the guys back at the office who spend all their time working on names and working on flavor and trying to build these worlds. I just hope they never hear you call that guy Taco Bell.
What?
Like, Order of the Sacred Bell is such this evocative name. It teaches you, the monks and the whole Japanese world. Everybody just calls it Taco Bell.
They eat tacos.
How do you never know tacos in Kamigawa? I just feel bad for those guys. I hope they never hear you call it Taco Bell. That's
Is
all.
Matt Cavada on that team?
He is now, yeah.
A friend of mine.
He's really good. He's a great addition to the company, I believe.
I love Matt Cavada. I'll have a Matt Cavada story later in the day.
All right.
We'll save it. We're on for like 9 hours today.
It's actually not that long a day. It's only 2 rounds instead of 3, so. All right, so how's this board working out? Don Smith has been building up his board. He's got his Budoka Pupil.
Is it flipped? I can't tell. Actually,
He's
strategically...
got 2 counters. I don't know if, when do you flip it?
Do you flip the Dolphins really fast? What do you do? As soon as you got 2, flip them, or...?
I think it depends. I think I usually flip them right away, but I can imagine board positions
But
that
I
you
mean,
want to.
in this case in particular, what does Smith gain by flipping into a board that's got double Taco Bell on the other side? Not much.
Well, he flipped it.
He's got a really good position on the
attack with it, apparently. Smash into the red zone.
Block. Protection from green.
Trample over for 3. Yeah.
Oh, it has trample.
How
yes,
lucky.
Ben Combs, it does have trample.
Down 16, Benjamin 15.
You can't topple Oaks without trample.
Chambers is in the audience now.
Oh, is that right?
Giggling.
He's out here watching with us.
Good.
Apparently, this is the better seat. I guess that's
I am so confused by what's going on. There's 4 monitors, as
Just
I said.
watch
4
the middle
different
monitors.
things.
It's not that hard.
What's that? 15. Cool.
You gotta love how Scaled Hulk is on D.
How many cards in here? 3.
So Ben Combs up a game here. Don Smith is sort of the backup plan for his team. If Andrew Pacifico can win game 2 way up on table A, then the match goes to WeAdd, and Cinderella moves through to the finals.
A flying creature is added to the red zone.
Yeah, Don Smith, the whole backup plan seems to Seems like he's got a reasonable shot to work.
This looks really, really good for
Some
Smith.
flyers, some oak topplers. Things are looking good for Don Smith.
I mean, at some point he's just going to pick up all the creatures on either side in alpha, right?
Things looking okay for Andrew Pacifico on table A as well, by the way.
Okay.
He had to mulligan, but he's played out his hand pretty aggressively.
He got hit by 3 tragedies.
Oh, he got hit by 3 tragedies.
And he mulliganed ×2.
So he's down 4 cards, but he's up on the board.
5. He was also double mulligan and 3 tragedies.
Alright. So, Pacifico down 4 or 5 cards due to mulligans and 3 tragedies.
What's the creature sitting underneath Pacifico's cage of hands? Did that connect for discard? Okay.
No, he just hard cast it.
Raw dog.
Alright, meanwhile, back on camera. Ben Combs studies the board.
Game quickly slipping away. I mean,
Best 2 out of 3.
Smith's A plan should be enough to win this game. I mean, if he wants to, he can just sweep up the board and come in with everything.
Combs have Gale Force.
Let me
on
correct
the stack.
myself. We missed the Gale Force that was just played. That is... It's actually not that devastating. There's a 2-1 and a 3-1, and if he wants to, Smith can save one. He's just thinking about it, whether it's worth it. He can save the creatures either via the oak counters or pick up one with the mirror mage. It doesn't
Seems like
seem
too
like
much. Let it go.
I think that he's probably going to save one of them. Don't you think, Randy?
Oh,
He's got mirror mage and open mana. There's no reason to let them both die. He's like so far ahead. Like
yeah. A lot of talk in the forums about the bannings in Standard.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I've heard your take on them.
I think that obviously we don't know what the actual decks are that people are going to be playing. And you have a new standard that
ability targeting itself.
Essentially, exact same play that we just talked about. He's saving the mirror mage from the Gale Force.
Yep.
I think that the intent has changed such that you move from a format which is defined by Arcbound Ravager to a format that's probably defined by mana acceleration and Plowunder. What do you think about that?
I think it's not that clear cut. I think I think nobody knows exactly what's going on.
There is a card that I said should be banned that was left untouched.
Ether Vial?
I think it's... I mean, we were talking a minute ago about having the good cards be at similar power level.
Yeah.
Ether Vial was dominating Extended. I was walking over at the PTQ. There was like 6 decks that had Ether Vial in them in the top 8. And, I mean, that's not even standard.
Stats aren't quite that bad. But it's clearly a very good card.
I mean, the reason the card's strong
So
is...
good, bad,
What?
too many cards, too few cards.
I understand why the cards were changed. Like, if I were banning cards for the purpose of balancing the format, I would have done a very different strategy.
Okay.
But I understand politically, especially, that you guys say, hey, Ravager Affinity's ruined Standard for a long time. It's like as bad as Necro almost. We got to get rid of this stuff.
Oh, it's way worse than Necro.
And from that standpoint, I'm like, yeah, I guess it's not that fun. So it's more important for Magic to be fun, and also it really changes the format. It helps deck builders to be innovative. It helps players to want to go to tournaments because, I mean, who wants to play against Affinity every round? That's totally understandable. So I think from that standpoint, it's good. The only thing I didn't like about it is, say you want to play Crackman Ironworks, never really got its day in the sun. We can't really do that now.
Don Smith serves with the Oak Toppler, and everybody lines up to block it. 2 Orders of the Sacred Bell,
remove a counter
and the Programming Guy.
Resolve.
So now he's a 6/5. Now he's going to be an 8/7.
Yep, remove a counter targeting yourself.
Which is enough to take out both orders, right?
Now resolves. So he's 6/8 right now.
You think he giant growths here too?
Does it save it? That's still not enough. I mean, we still exactly die. We just take out 2 orders and call it good, right?
Pretty good.
Dealt some damage.
Okay, I'm ready
got
to
his
go
opponent's 2 best creatures.
damage.
I think he's going to do 3/4 or 3/3/1. I mean, 3/3/1's kind of dumb, right?
Yeah, 3/4 for some reason.
Hero eyes.
Oh, interesting. Ethereal Haze, so Combs fogs the board.
Kind of devastating, but also kind of used a card for no cards.
He's traded that card for 2 counters.
Yeah.
It's probably fair. His opponent just has a 4-3 trampler. And what did Smith play out underneath our life total graphic?
Mirror Mage. The Mirror Mage can't really get through for free here because if Combs has Spiritcraft, he can give that guy a boost.
So Wead is up a match. Adam Chambers took a quick 2-0 over Camille Finet. Meanwhile, Ben Combs is up a game here, and Andrew Pacifico is up a game in his match. So each team has a 1-game lead in the other 2 matches. It's best 2 out of 3 matches, and then each match is best 2 out of 3 games. Pacifico's trying. He's down 5 cards due to a mulligan and 3 tragedies, but he's fighting on table A. If he wins that game, then Wead is through to the finals. Meanwhile, Don Smith is also trying to put his team through. He's trying to force a game 3 where he can send his team through to the finals. Wead, the first LCQ players ever to make it to Sunday, playing against a veteran French team that also has very little Sunday experience. Ben Combs got here in Yokohama. But basically, sort of the veterans having the real breakout performance for the 3 of them.
Oh, Pinecrest Ridge is in his hand. He can go Aki. John, I can't see the board. Does Smith have a mountain anywhere near his board? So he can go pitch for the Aki.
Yeah, he could almost reach earlier, so.
On the front table,
oh my goodness,
Andrew Pacifico just
Ronin Cliff Rider against a board of 3-1 Rat Samurai and Waning Moon.
But
Hanabi
there's
Blast
Hanabi Blast.
from Nicolas Bonorel. So
No fun.
Bonorel's in pretty good shape
No
to force
fun.
game 3. Yeah, Bonorel looks like he's going to force game 3 there. Too early to draw definite conclusions, but the blast did get itself. So
Yeah, well, I think that
it
did its job.
Fair.
Now, Smith is up a lot of cards, it looks like, in his match with Combs. I think he just starts trading here. It's not like Combs can't really come through because of Trapper Kami. So if he starts trading, here comes guys. He's got a reach through miss, so he can do a splice trick on the Kodama's Might that will be some spicy.
He's taking his time, though. Doesn't want to mess this up.
He's probably thinking about how he can win, not about how he can start just scrapping. Let's see. He only has 1 haze, right? Let's look at it. There's only 1.
What is it about haze that makes people just start playing around the next one?
It's like we keep talking about this terrible draft the other night, but how many times did I haze Mending Hands and Kami of the False Hope, the lethals?
Yeah.
It's very taxing on a player's aggressive cards. The thing is that you have these cards that are relatively high picks that are all geared to winning the game, and then these late pick cards like Haze, Kami of the Waning Moon, Kami of the False Hope, just take out all the gas in the deck's offense. No one likes to trade their first pick Kodama's Might for a 13th pick Ethereal Haze. And we were talking about Kenji's match to make top 8 yesterday. How badly did that Kami of False Hope destroy his opponent's ability to establish a win in those last 6 minutes?
It's just weird the way it has slowed Don Smith down here so much. Suddenly, I got hazed. I better think more. No, that was the 1 haze. You got through it. You just traded it for a couple counters. It's not that big a deal.
Activate his ability targeting.
Interesting decision.
Smith bounces the pro green guy.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, return 3 lands. There you go.
How unfair.
Declare an attack phase. Yeah.
Serves with the Trampler.
What's the other creature? Is that a 2-1 Orochi? I can't really tell what it is.
1 second.
Yeah, Orochi Ranger. It's like Scaled Hulk.
I think That's a good bring there, though. He should bring that because even if it doesn't take something out, like
It taps it.
it taps it for next turn, which is considerable.
Yeah, sure.
Now, does Smith have an untapped island? I would really want to be in a position where I had island, forest, forest, so that I could go reach through mists, Kodama's Might, splice, Kodama's Might a second time for a big, big bash.
This is.
And island, forest, forest. There you go.
Exactly what we thought.
It's so nice to be able to see their hands and understand, and you can figure out what the right play is. You can see that these guys are. Why they're thinking what they're thinking, why they're doing what they're doing.
Any reason why Don Smith doesn't bring with the Orochi Ranger? He's definitely not going to get blocked. Like no bring. Oh, here comes some sort of trick, I think.
Sure. He's playing.
So Spiritcraft is.
What was the trick? 100 talent strike.
Who targeted? Who was targeted? I'm sorry, by 100 talent strike.
Presumably it's one of them. He targeted the Kami with the 100 talent strike? Interesting. Wouldn't you give one of the Taco Bells first strike?
Looks like Scaled Hulk is gonna right over.
Yeah.
Scaled Hulk gonna get big. I think at this point, Smith can't really worry about his 3-1 flyer. He just has to make sure he wins the fights on the ground. At the very least, he's going to do a reach splice.
Yeah, so what's your plus?
Splicing Kodama's Might.
Alright. Reach through miss, splicing Kodama's Might.
Sure.
What do you target?
It looks like he targeted the 3-1 flyer. So, that guy is now...
So he becomes huge. Okay, I'll assign damage. 3, 1, and this guy dies.
Alright, so he lets the Oak Toppler die. It has done its job.
Takes the point, trample.
Wipes out the team. So he uses Might, Reach, and the Oak Toppler.
He's got
take out
7
3
cards in grip.
A bunch of them are the land he's picked up with the... It's interesting. I might have kept the Trampler there.
If he had attacked with the Orochi Ranger, could he have gone lethal there? There's no way the Orochi Ranger gets blocked,
2,
right?
4, 6. Not quite. I think he comes too short. But if he chooses to save the Trampler instead of the Mirror Guard, then he could have dealt with much damage. Yeah, you can't really spend 3 land bouncing the 1/1 guy either.
But the 1/1 guy would have allowed Combs to do a double block that could have really screwed up his math.
It's a reason to want to Trampler.
Well, looks like Upheaval was cast.
No. Plenty good enough. Don Smith has won game 2. Ben Combs just scoops him up. Can't really come back from that board position. Not sure we would have played Don Smith's turn exactly the same way. It's tough to figure it out, but he had so many good options. They were all good. So Don Smith wins game 2. They'll be going to game 3, and we will try to move our cameras up to table A. Try to get a look in on the late stages of game 2 between Pacifico and Barnarell.
Now, which Oni is this that Nicholas has? Is it the one that forces discard?
What was the question again?
That's the discard Oni, right?
Yeah, it's
not
the
the sacrifice Oni.
Well, I can assume the intent of the card that you would have drawn. Right?
Oh, interesting.
Oh.
I can assume the intent of the card
Yeah, I
that
know.
was drawn.
But if there was any kind of mistake, I would understand, but there isn't any, you know.
Alright, so
Yeah.
Barnarell,
Regardless of any
caged,
type
gut wrencher Oni,
any
he
type
forgot
of-
to discard.
support that you
I
have for the determination of the card
I
that you're
think
going to
in this
discard.
case,
Gotcha. And I have knowledge of what's in his hand here, so let's just hold the discussion until Sheldon or the head judge comes back.
At level
Interesting.
5, that's not an insignificant error, but the whole theory with table judges is that there shouldn't be
Yeah,
procedural
yeah,
errors that
yeah.
cost game losses. Is that correct?
I mean, the table judge is sort of on the
I
hook
think
here
we
with
can watch
the
the
rules of the
VR.
game, yeah.
I think it's normal.
It's only one.
Yeah, I
Sounds
know,
like it's
but
only a warning.
I was at PTQs and people have gotten game losses for easier than that. The braids during upkeep, you have to sacrifice before you draw a card.
Sheldon's coming.
it's just different when you have choice. May I explain the situation?
Well, since I'm calling the judge, I feel that I should be able
You
to.
appeal to the head judge.
Okay.
When you come over here and tell me about the situation.
Okay.
Perfectly understandable adjudication.
I'm not sure that game loss is fair on this one. Even if the mistake is big.
Well, the thing is that you've passed the point of the game. You've compromised the integrity of the game, and that should definitely be a game loss. There's absolutely.
Interesting.
I'm not kidding.
Don Smith's the one that's in law school. Listen to Pacifico.
Pacifico's in position to make top 2 of a Pro Tour.
Sure. The thing is that you can't make a determination
you've
on
been
the
making
rules
the
of the
same
game
arguments
at
that
Pro
Andrew's
Tour
making here.
I'd be
based
trying.
on
Absolutely.
the illusion of a person.
When it has no effect on the game, you know.
That has a significant effect
It
on the
doesn't
game.
help. He's not going to give his corner roll, though. Save it for the
Yeah.
judge.
Then, you could have two cards in your hand.
You're polite versus corner roll,
make a
and
determination
make a
of
case
the
for the
card that
judge.
you're wanting to discard.
The thing that I disagree with
No,
about
they said that they were,
in terms of
they
Andrew
said
is that
there
we
was
can
no-
know
there's
from
no
the people who are standing around the
I
match
wouldn't-
which
yeah,
card
or we would
was
do,
drawn
yeah,
and
I wouldn't be
correct
this
the
intent
game.
on it if there was no way to determine.
That's
Alright, so the situation is that Nicholas Borrell has a gut wrencher Oni, which Andrew played a cage against. So every turn, Borrell doesn't have any ogres, so he's on the hook to discard a card. But he went ahead, he drew his card, he forgot to discard. They pointed this out.
I've seen
They're trying to figure out what's the
and this is
penalty.
pretty significant.
You know,
I mean, you just said it's a procedural or major. I mean,
yeah, I understand.
Head Judge Sheldon Menery is on the scene. He has disappeared with it. It's tough. It's
I can't imagine that they game lost.
I think it'll be a warning because the table judge is on the hook for enforcing the rules of the game. Part of the reason to have a table judge is so the players don't forget stuff like that.
And
So.
there's tons of witnesses though. They can correct the game state. Like that's not really a problem.
Right.
Like
It's weird though. I find it a little odd that the rules work differently on Sunday. That forgetting something like that is one penalty in the Swiss and a different penalty on Sunday. I can certainly understand Pacifico's point, right? It's like if I'm playing at a PTQ, my opponent gets a game loss, and now I'm playing the highest stakes Magic I've ever played, and it's less penalty.
The
It's
difference
a little.
is that there's no luxury of having a table judge at every Swiss match in PTQ or even the Pro Tour.
Yeah, I'm not saying that it's ridiculous that the rules work this way. It's just a little odd. I can see why Pacifico is
Here comes the boss man from Alaska.
understandably confused.
Non, pas moi. Mais par contre, si tu veux, tout le monde, il n'y a pas un doute sur la carte que j'ai piochée.
Yeah, I don't think anyone thinks Bonnerell did it on purpose.
Andrew's argument is a good one, but I just don't think they're going to give a game loss.
C'est juste lui dire que je dis à lui, quoi.
Yeah, I think it'll be a warning. But I mean, if it's a game loss, by the way, we add us through to the finals. Pacifico is up a game.
But actually, to be honest, we had once. I had a match once that there were 3 table judges.
Oh, let's see what Sheldon has to say.
We have to do, and we have no hard evidence what card he drew.
Oh, no one knows what card he drew.
I understand that there's soft evidence.
It's just
Sounds like a
evidence.
game loss.
Since the 10th last turn, I said go. And my hand is that. What is the card I drew?
I mean, maybe if you could discard his
When
hands or
it's not,
something.
when we cannot check, when we cannot check, I understand that it's measure mistake.
Yeah.
But
I
there
guess
is.
Borderell
It's like
says-
someone filmed my hand, you know.
The camera wasn't on your hand.
Yeah,
The
but-
monitor saw your hand.
Yeah,
The
but
thing is
they are,
that
yeah.
What card did
you can't make a
What card did I sell?
But there's no
argument
reasonable
by the
universe where he
cards that are-
What
doesn't
card did I
discard a
sell?
swamp.
Since the last 10 turn I said just go.
He would have had to draw 2 cards in order for this to be
And he's got a
relevant.
cutthroat. He's got a cutthroat in his hand, so it's obvious that he drew the cutthroat this turn. Because he
I
would have
understand.
played it last turn.
Probably, but even if he hadn't played it, there's still no universe where he discards
At
the
least
cutthroat.
my hand was that.
Right.
I'm gonna
So,
discard this, but that's not the case. Obviously my hand was
I mean, the
that.
judge isn't supposed to be making plays
No,
for the players, though.
That's
He's
correct.
supposed to be enforcing the rules. He's supposed to be saying.
We're not up. There's no game loss here.
Okay, I'm just saying what is about his hand though. I mean, to discard his hand.
Sheldon said no game loss.
What do you want to do? I mean, why can you do? I mean, here's the one thing that this is the only thing that I want to do. If we're gonna do a discard at random,
Never worked last.
he could randomly discard the card that he drew,
Yeah, I know, and that would be totally unfair.
which is like it's compromising the integrity of the game. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think.
Reasonable. This is a reasonable argument.
And-
Talk in for just another second.
But why random when we know what my hand was?
All right. Yeah, Pacifico is running that compromise the integrity of the game argument for all that he can get from it.
I won a PTQ that way before.
Did you?
Ils veulent me faire discarder une carte random après ma draw. Alors depuis tout à l'heure, je discarde tout le temps la LBDL.
My permanent was a wasteland, and my opponent had 2 life forces and 6 green open, a verdant force, and a spike feeder. I'm sorry, spike weaver. But he needed even more verdant force action and cast a natural.
See what's going on.
Yeah, but no, you just can judge what my draw. We can talk afterwards. I understand. And trust me, because
I'll tell you what he had in his hand after.
But I mean, also, just not discarding a card. I mean, it's like, what if nobody thought I'm not discarding a card? So,
All right.
Okay, that's totally understandable. Thank you. So, discard? Sure.
After much discussion, Fornerell does discard a swap. Pacifico does not mize a game win, does not mize the finals.
He's gonna block the ninja hero.
Without all that stuff.
Oh, unless he can first strike.
All that time, didn't know what his top card was. He peeks.
He's gonna block the ninja either way, right?
Sure.
Thanks.
Can I don't stack?
Pacifico takes 3 down to 8.
So, there's a card. On my draw. Okay, go ahead.
That's a devastating card in this position of the game.
Cutthroat?
Yeah.
And that was the card Fornerell threw that.
I mean, like, you almost want to move the cage. I mean, neither plays good.
No.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, not looking good for Andrew Pacifico. It looks like this game, like the other one, is going to game 3.
So, Pacifico's got, like, next to no options.
Land, Devouring Rage, land.
If he's got a land on top, he might be able to do a trade.
What is he at?
I think he can do, but he's so low. He might be able to juke Nicholas into. He can move the cage. He doesn't have enough mana to move the cage and get him to attack with the Oni and then first strike out the Oni. Good. He's just gonna take beats for 6. Like, it's just terrible.
No Cardinal, so no mistake.
Fornerell has now played out his entire hand.
Fornerell's just gonna crack with everything. That integrity of the game ruling is really biting Andrew.
He tried. What are you going to do? The judge made his ruling. He's going to abide by the judge's ruling. That's how
I think
it works,
that's
right?
the right rule.
Like, seemed perfectly reasonable.
He's at 8, right? 9. He's at 9. Yeah, you're all at 8.
So how much damage can he potentially do here? The Devouring Rage does what?
What's the other card on Pacifico's side of the board? 9 Ringo.
Useless.
First picked 9 Ringo. Killed Tommy the Waning Moon.
At this position in the game, it don't do anything.
Should be able to sack it to Devouring Rage.
Even
Do
if.
better. It's kind of spirit here, right? In the anti-spirit sense. We add is the Cinderella here. They only need one more game win. Either Don Smith needs to win game 3, Pacifico needs to win this game, or Pacifico needs to win his game 3.
Well, I think that Pacifico is not going to win this game unless Fornerell accidentally doesn't discard again.
Well, he played all the cards out of his hand, so that shouldn't happen. Brings with Harsh Deceiver. Reveals.
Sure. Take 2.
So that's 2 damage. Dropping Fornerell to 7.
Good.
Seems unlikely Pacifico can pull this out. People in the forums are asking you more questions about the bannings. One question was, do you think they artifact lands had to go, or just Ravager Disciple?
In terms of balancing the format, I don't think artifact lands had to go. In fact, I would not have banned them. Certainly not Darksteel Citadel, and I actually have a lot to say about those changes specifically. But the goal of R&D wasn't just to create a balanced format; it was to create a balanced format in which Affinity was impossible to play. The other thing is that Aaron told me a very compelling argument, which is that even though Darksteel Citadel isn't that good, it's basically Ancient Tomb with no drawback. It makes
Right.
2 mana in any kind of deck that uses the affinity mechanic. The things that I didn't like about the banning.
Okay, so what you're saying is you wouldn't have banned them, but that's because you didn't think Affinity was actually that much better than the rest of the deck.
I certainly think if you take Ravager Aether Vial and Disciple the Vault out, you can make an interesting affinity deck that wasn't overpowered when compared
And that was
to
the
other
next
decks.
question. What exactly would you have done? You
I
would
would
have
have taken out those 3 cards.
You would have done Vial, Disciple, Ravager?
Yes.
Fair enough. Yeah, it's interesting. I think you're basically right that I didn't think Affinity was that much better than the best. I mean, there's always some deck which is the best deck.
It's
but
the
this
best deck
deck
wasn't that much better than Mono Blue.
Right, but it was so hated. We've never seen a deck that vilified where people did not enjoy playing against it that they just stopped going to tournaments.
I totally
So,
understand where you're coming
yeah,
from.
I think
the
you're
health
right
of the
that-
game is a different story.
Right.
The thing that I didn't like about the banning the artifacts a lot is that you hurt decks like White Weenie. White Weenie gets worse if you take away Ancient Den because Flashfires is in the environment.
Yeah.
I mean, look at decks like Ben Dempsey played to the top 4 really of Grand Prix Seattle. He used artifact lands in a way that's never been used in other decks. He's using Enlightened Tutor to set up his mana base. It was really interesting way to use the artifact lands. Also, the big red deck gets worse because in the past it used Darksteel Citadel and Great Furnace to trigger Shrapnel Blast, and to a lesser extent Furnace Dragon, which is a card which wouldn't have to be played anymore. But
there was some collateral damage.
the fair decks were using the
Bruiser
artifact.
now in addition. Borderell just keeps throwing nothing but monsters, and Pacifico, I mean, drawing land is okay for his Deceiver, but he's just got too many, he doesn't have enough spells. I mean, look at the board he's facing against. Shinobi, Rat Samurai, Cutthroat, Cohort, Bruiser. I mean, the lands were okay out of the mulligan,
Why
but
did Borderell crack with everything?
I'm not sure. He's playing it safe. Why risk it?
I guess he can't possibly lose.
I mean, he's at 7. He doesn't want to get some sort of...
I mean, this turn he should crack with everything, right? He's got lethal in play.
Yeah, I mean, except that it's specific.
No, I mean the next one, whatever.
Right.
I mean, Pacifico doesn't have like a White Myojin or anything.
Nicholas on 7 is... How much damage can Pacifico deal? The Rage is worth 3? 5, he only needs 2 more damage?
Yeah, but if he gets like a cheap Spirit on his draw step...
Yeah, if he draws a cheap Spirit... Yeah, I think it's reasonable for Barnarell to try to
Can Pacifico defend himself reasonably here? Like, so, he's got... 9-Ring Bow's not relevant.
He's got Candles Glow now.
There's 5 points coming in, but he can Candles Glow 6 damage, essentially. So... I think if Andrew attacks here, like, does he block? He can't be lethal here, right?
Yeah.
No attack. Cornwall's just gonna attack with the 2 evasion creatures, I'm sure.
What is it, Cutthroat and Bruiser?
Yeah, Cutthroat and Bruiser. It's
Yeah.
5. Andrew's on 4.
And he makes him blow the Candles Glow.
Yeah, it's just fine.
Leaves 3 blockers back to prevent against shenanigans. That looks like the right play.
Yep, has to use the Candles Glow. No choice.
And that what? 4.
Stack for damage. Candles Glow.
A bunch of creatures, not a lot of damage on the back match between Ben Combs and Don Smith.
Pacifico.
Smith needs to win. If Smith wins, Wead takes the match. If Combs wins, then it comes down to game 3 here. Assuming this one goes to game 3. Well, Don Smith could just resolve a Mirror Maid, so he may be on the offense back there. Mirror Guard. Meanwhile, Pacifico is milking this for all the airtime he can get. I think he knows we'll go watch the other game when he finishes losing this one.
His play is
You
scripted.
have
He's
to
got
cancel
his
it.
damage and he's candles club.
Every time it's all the same. It's actually pretty... I know, it's not easy, but 5 minutes down is too much, I think.
The players are still obligated to play at a reasonable pace. If they're also obligated to do all the upkeep effects.
Ironically enough, if Pacifico had been playing his unearthly blizzard, which he's not, he might have had a chance to break through here. No? Close?
Yeah.
Close? No, maybe not enough mana.
Here comes yet another. Hearth Kami comes down. Trades for 9 rainbow.
Good.
Now what? Pacifico needs a good card here. He's dead next turn unless this draw phase helps him. Draws?
I mean, what can he draw?
I don't know.
Nope.
Oh, he's flipped his hand. He draws. Moonlit Strider, which doesn't seem good enough unless he's got something better to soul shift back that I'm remembering.
He puts on Moonlit Strider and brings and hopes that Corner Roll doesn't block.
So he can rage him out?
Yeah. Which just seems incredibly unlikely to me. Like, if he could somehow swing the protection from 2 colors.
It's still not enough.
It's not enough.
He has to sack it to the
Yeah.
rage. And that's what the cohort's for. The cohort's mission in life is, I don't know what's going on, but I think I'm going to block. Maybe there's some white card that gets trampled.
Don Smith has just resolved the Dragon Fang, which isn't game over by itself, but if his opponent doesn't have a flying creature, that Mirror Guard might be flapping around with something in its hands.
No, Mirror Guard's been killed. Gale Force.
Oh, Mirror Guard, where'd you go, buddy? It sounds to me like Smith doesn't actually have a way to bust through with the Dragon Fang on equipment side, but...
Alright. Meanwhile, Pacifico plays the Strider. He gives Pro Color. Solstice back is Zubera. That helps a little bit.
Pacifico is really milking this game for everything that he can.
He's got the Zubera.
Sacking the Zubera to Devouring Rage here at least allows him to take out the Rat.
Yeah.
Which means that he's not lethal next turn.
Right.
So he's
probably... Well, other than
an all-in, yeah.
He's not lethal.
From red.
Gave it pro red.
So the only well, he can block with either of those black caps. Yeah. A valiant effort. Nezumi Ronin.
Alright, Nezumi Ronin steps up.
Pacifico should probably scoop here just so that he doesn't remind Nicholas that he's got Devouring Rage in his deck.
True.
I think that, like, this way it could just look like a desperate read and then just go. Like, I mean, there's no way he should show him the card.
It's a good point. It's interesting.
Like, that's the kind of card that, though powerful, is not on automatic in your deck. It's not... What side effect does the White Deceiver get when he reveals?
Untap.
Yeah.
Definitely blocking the 3-1.
Pacifico should just go to game 3.
Certainly wants to see how he blocks.
No, getting the information there is perfectly fine, but that's...
On the bear rages like this.
He rages, he sacks, he kills the 2-1.
That kills both of the 3-3. Both of those
LBDL
creatures.
dies.
Traits there.
So it's down to just the bruiser?
Yeah, the bruisers
Bruiser cohort, so...
Draw
No,
creature.
leading to creature.
Oh, okay. You got it. I forgot. Yep. Yeah, you got it.
Wait, what did he forget?
Alright, that's the ball game.
What did he forget?
I don't know. Oh, pro red.
Oh, okay.
Pro red, he couldn't do it. He couldn't raise because he gave his own guy pro red.
Sounds like
So-
the integrity of the game was compromised because that poor rat was killed in a situation where it shouldn't have been, and
Don, how are you doing over there,
a
man?
bunch of creatures went to the bin that shouldn't have been.
Okay, good. I'm going to game 3, but I'm only going to 5 that game, so.
So, Pacifico's checking on his boy. He's like, Don, how you doing back there? We're going to go check in on Don. He
Pacifico
is...
makes a good point. He did mulligan to 5, and that game was very
Yeah, no,
much
Pacifico
closer than
was
we would have
Oh,
fight.
yeah, it's a pretty good 5.
Value fight. They'll be going to game 3.
Sorry.
Meanwhile, we're in game 3 back there. There's Don Smith. He's got Tatsumasa in play. He's got the Dragon's Fang on his side of the board. He's playing against Ben Combs, and if Don Smith can win this game, he sends LCQ winners we add through to the finals.
What do you think of legendary swords? Glamdring the Foe Hammer, Anglakel.
Yeah.
Legends are cool. Swords
I'm
are
done.
cool.
Your turn. Okay.
What else? What am I supposed to say? All right, so what's this board position?
Badoka Pupil has been equipped with the
Tatsumasa.
Dragon Fang,
All right, that seems good.
and
It's not a legend yet. It's still just a pupil.
And,
Learning. He's learning how to
he's
carry a
learning
sword.
well, though.
Oh, he's learning how to carry a sword.
I'm done. Your turn.
You mean what are the other features? John's side is Bidoko Pupil with
Did he have
Dragon
6 open
Fang.
and he didn't flip?
Harbinger of Spring,
Wait, did he have 6 open and not flip EOT?
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
and a Blue Zubera. The other side is Kami the Hunt, the Moonlit Strider, Empty Shrine. No, sorry, not Moonlit Shrine, just Empty Shrine. Palliator. Palliator?
Which one's that
Palliator?
again?
The one that prevents 1 damage to everything. Blade Master and Isamaru. And there you get a good look at Don Smith's hand. He's got Kodama's Might and Patron of the Aki.
Couldn't Smith have flipped the sword at the end of turn or something?
Yeah,
He just
good
chose not to?
have. Chose not to.
Is he just is it the honorable thing for the pupil to want a duel? He's like, you, Kitsune Blade Master, let us fight. I think I would have made a dragon. I like
Dragons are cool.
Dragons are awesome, especially when they bash the opponent to death with razor sharp fangs. Combs is down to 8. Smith's got twice the life total. Now he's moving the sword to the Zubera, which is a very, very good play here because, I mean, what's his downside? If the Zubera dies, he draws a card and has enough mana to make a dragon. It's not bad. Let's see here. Let's look at Combs' deck. Like, does he have some sort of wear away or something that he's playing around?
Yeah, another reason he had to move it is that with Empty Shrine hanging out, it's pro green, so it could
Yeah,
just
I
block
was
the
wondering
people.
why he didn't make a dragon. Because I'm just looking, I don't see any kind of disenchant. Does he have one? Smith's hand is so strong, though. He's got Patron of the Aki and Kodama's Might.
You take it.
Do you have red mana?
He's got a million lands in play. Maybe he doesn't have Patron mana. He has Patron mana.
Taking 5.
Maybe it's one of those games where, like, he's got enough of a lead that he doesn't want to press it necessarily.
Yeah, maybe.
I'll just run this 8 million guy out there.
Ah, Patron of the Aki.
I'll put a counter on my Badoka Pupil.
End of free. Wait, end of turn effect trigger.
Combs down to 3.
And
Yeah, I will flip.
environmentalists everywhere are saddened as the
Click
Oak Toppler
the
clicks.
Which one? What's happening? Which one?
What was that you did at the end of the turn?
I took 2 minutes.
You tapped for 2 mana? Okay.
2 mana being tapped at the end of turn. What's going on?
I just like.
Mana
He's got to reverse the sands?
Does he really?
He's got to.
Down 16, Benjamin.
He went to 1.
You're kidding.
Oh no, that's Betrayers.
He was hoping to draw reverse the sands.
He's got in his deck. That would be awesome.
That would be pretty cool.
That would be super awesome. Can you imagine that story? Well, I was bashing him down with Dragon Sword, and then he switched like souls and bashed me down. Like, that would be the suckiest.
Don Smith is just looking over.
He's like, oh god, don't have reverse the sands. How much of a bag would you have to be to slow roll reverse the sands here? like, oh, think. Oh boy, don't know what to do. Reverse the sands, just kidding.
He's at 1.
No, he said go.
Oh. A reversal of sands would have been much more fun.
That is a giant board for Don Smith. Patron of the Aki is the small man.
You play first.
How does that happen?
Oh, but you know what? He's also got that Ethereal Haze in his deck.
I'm sorry,
And even
but
if he doesn't have reverse the sands, he's gonna like.
Okay.
He's holding Ethereal Haze. It looks like to me.
Is that right?
I think so. Becker, get him to stop flipping his cards for a second.
Alright.
It looks like
You have
Ethereal
some
Haze.
Yeah, I have to count.
Okay. So, correctly put him on Ethereal Haze. He's trying to juke Don into making an attack that's clearly not lethal, hoping to draw reverse the sands, leaving Don with too few defenders. That's I mean, he doesn't have a lot of options, and that seems like the best way to go.
Play.
He's probably going to do a block that forces some kind of trick, maybe, so that he can get the maximum amount out of his Ethereal Haze, hoping that the correct play put him in a position to win the game the next turn or next.
Yeah,
two
he's
turns.
still gonna have to top deck to do it. But
Yeah, but I mean,
what are you gonna do? Play for the top of the stack. It's the only way you can possibly win.
that's I really admire players who go for even the most desperate things in order to try to win. Like there was this guy once from Germany, and he consecutively ripped this card Illusions of Grandeur and his other card Donate off the top of his deck.
Yeah.
After having been hit by a dragon himself, that made all of his cards go away. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
I think I
But
have.
he made a good point, which said he had to play exactly perfectly in order to take advantage of the luck.
Right.
But then he bashed his opponent once before. I don't know if you ever heard of him. Though.
Top deck of Morphling in the last game, I believe.
He's
So Don
Very
Smith
good.
has moved the Dragon's Fang onto the Oak Toppler, sent it into the red zone alone, and Combs had nothing he could do but play the Ethereal Haze, draw another card, and was it reverse the sands?
If it was reverse the sands, this looks lethal unless
Yep.
there's a trick that. Oh, actually, you can still flip Tatsumatsu, right? And then just block everything.
Instead,
Which doesn't, solve the fact that he's on 1, but it does kill everything on the other side of the board.
yeah,
So, looks like nothing.
he played a guy. The scale tall.
Oak Toppler's got trample. He's probably. Why did he just make a dragon here? I don't understand. There's no wear away. There's no flying creature on Calm's side, right?
Nope.
Clearly, you just flipped the dragon
I
sword.
think that's what he's thinking about right now.
Flip the dragon sword and collect $2,000.
It's more than 2,000, isn't it?
$10,000.
Make a dragon.
Make a dragon. There you go. The crowd likes the dragon. Dragon.
Becomes replace a pair, I guess.
Hello, give him a dragon token.
Yeah, speaking of tokens,
Dragon token.
yeah, all we need are spirit tokens, right?
5/5 blues, dragon.
What's that? Let's zoom in on the token. I want to make sure it's the right token.
It's not.
What is that, like a bird?
It's a 1/1 flying spirit
5/5.
token. 5/5 flyer. Ben Combs has got nothing. That should do it. There it is. We add through to the finals. Andrew Pacifico's game 3 does not matter because Don Smith has sent his team through, met Adam Chambers on Thursday, and now he and Adam Chambers have sent their team through to the championship match of the Pro Tour. Wow.
Just to be fair, it could have been a 1/1 flyer and still won the game.
Was it one? Wow, all right.
I think that the success of this match comes from the draft. It's exactly like we called it from the draft analysis. We had just outdrafted their opponents. They set up a match where Chambers won in like 30 seconds, and Don Smith's deck was just so good in the green mirror.
It really was.
All those cards we were talking about.
Absolutely.
Do you remember when he was like, "Oh, I don't really want to take this Dragon Fang"? That position in the draft, we thought that was sort of humorous. He's playing exactly the deck that can take advantage of it. And Pacifico's ill draw in Game 2, meaninless.
Yeah.
His team advances.
We had predicted a sweep. It might have been a sweep. Who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah, we'll never find out. Becker's claiming it was. We may be able to talk to John Becker, get a sense of how the players are feeling down there. Yeah, so, John, what was your take down there? You say it was going to be a sweep? Did you get a look at Pacifico's hand or something?
No, it was only 3 or 4 turns in, so it didn't look like there was going to be any. It wasn't going to be resolved anytime in the near future. It wasn't really sway one turn or the other. But Don Smith, as you saw, hopped up from the table, jacked his fist. Everybody seemed pretty happy about it back here, except for Ben Combs, who kind of smiled and walked off immediately with his teammates. So
I thought that Combs played a great game. He played for the tricks that he had, forced commitment. Played for the cards that were capable of having him win, and they were just outdrafted. He didn't have the weapons to win the matchup.
I think that we just did a fantastic job of drafting against our opponents. That said, except for I'm not really sure what Pacifico was thinking with that 9-ring bow. I know he killed. I know he killed the waning moon with it, but he could have just as easily taken and hated up the waning moon. I guess he figured it'd be potentially more, more useful.
Would you say that there was a very improvisational nature to Wead's draft strategy? Like they weren't set. They saw where the cards were going in the opponent's decks and then sort of just molded their decks into tight matchups.
Yeah, well, they did open really well to start with, which you got to give them. But I think that's exactly what happened. Like whereas
I disagree. I don't think that they out-opened the opponents. I think that they were lucky on the first bounce that Don had was fantastic, as we said before, the double man accelerator. But they did not just open better cards. I don't think. That was clear.
I think it was mostly that they drafted better. I agree with Mike.
I mean, granted, they got Tatsumatsu and they got Ink Eyes.
I'm not saying they definitely out-opened people. That's why they won. I think they did a much better job drafting against their opponents. So my first portion of my statement was, I think they out-opened them somewhat. I think they did get Tatsumatsu's option. They did get Ink Eyes, both of which won games separately for the 2 matches in the back that won. But what they did do is they just said, hey, what's my opponent drafting? What are his colors? What are the best cards? As can be seen by the Taproot Kami picks. Fairly early Taproot Kamis that were going to shut him down. Things such as that. The Ronin Cliff Rider to try to take care of the 1 toughness fear guy and the Waning Moon, the other smaller, more vulnerable men that the Frenchman had. So I think that they did a great job out drafting him, and they really deserve to move on. I think.
Yeah, I mean the French did play well though. I mean it's not like the French made a bunch of mistakes.
No, they absolutely.
I thought they played well. In addition to that, they drafted perfectly reasonably. They played well.
But I mean that's exactly what you want to see. You want to see one team, the team that outdrafts the other team. Everybody plays well, and the team that outdrafts the team wins. I mean that's ideally what you have.
Sure.
The people that did better, that perform better, that show more skill in the format, more knowledge of the draft strategy, win.
Yeah,
or the team that just got together on Thursday. Either one.
We can see the team from our booth.
Maybe they're quick learners.
Jumping up and down in the building right now, celebrating their victory. Hats off to you guys. Great job.
I can hear them clapping from back here.
Oh, here come our deck lists for the next round.
Alrighty.
Yeah, no, it was an interesting draft, interesting match, and yeah, Cinderella through to the finals.
That was the judge who said we didn't need snake tongues.
So now we're tracking down the players from the other draft, Nova versus One Spin. This is the real marquee matchup in my mind. I mean, nice storylines in the last one. The French guys from their local store, the Cinderella story, nice storylines. But for star power, you gotta like the up-and-coming Japanese team versus the reigning player of the year and a couple of his buddies.
I mean, when you say a couple of his buddies, I don't know if that necessarily encompasses the resumes on the remaining Nova players. Dave Root is pretty good at teams. Masters appearance.
You want to talk team draft there? You got to talk about Gabe
appearance.
Sang. Gabe Sang has been one of the top team drafters in the side draft circuit
on the $20 circuit.